Time now for our rants and raves of the week. And Callie, I understand you don't really have a rant or a rave, but an clarification. All right,
okay,
go.
So last week I talked about, I was interested, a tempered rave about the LA Times hiring a full-time reporter to cover Black Twitter. As I was rushing out of here, many people stopped me and I got a lot of feedback. Well, how do you get on Black Twitter? You don't just get on, okay? Black Twitter is an ongoing conversation, usually has to do with a lot of cultural issues. There are cultural guideposts to lead you into it. It's actually hidden in plain sight, but there is no typing in of Black Twitter and it appears. It does not. If you know what the culture is, and it's very specifically African American, and I say that because I mean, it's even more niche than people of color. So you can find people of color Twitter, but this is Black Twitter. It's very, very, very
Are there
linked to
hashtags
that.
too?
There's, depending on what's going on. So if you're talking about certain cultural, social issues, you know because you know what the cultural guideposts are. So you can find them. You
We're
see
going to break
them.
this code.
So you can't break the code if you don't know it intuitively.
So, Kelly, help us out. Like, who's
well,
one person that us four white people could follow to get an inkling of what goes on?
And
There's
see
no
who
one-
they're
there's
following.
I'm not saying the
Yeah.
one. Just who is one? Who's one prominent voice?
I can give you an example of something that was a piece of Black Twitter.
Yeah.
So when the Oscars came out with, all white nominations, then one woman started Oscars So White. That was evident to people. That got commented on. But there are many other conversations about that you all did not see because the references were cultural to begin with.
That's why I'm asking.
So I can't. It's no one person. People rise. It's a conversation. It's huge. You cannot corral it in that way. It is not a portal by which one enters. That's what I'm trying to make sense.
So is like
Which is
American
why he's
politics.
covering
But if
it.
you ask me, follow someone, I could say follow Dave Weigel
No,
to get a sense.
because you're out there that there are no cultural guideposts. There are certain things about following a
just be discussing
political
this.
Twitter that are obvious to do. So that would be New Hampshire. That would be Iowa.
Sure.
There's nothing like that unless you already know what the cultural tidbits are.
You can't
help
blame me for asking.
Can't
All right,
go if
Dan,
you don't know.
moving on. These are rants and raves.
Okay.
I have a rave for the Massachusetts legislature, one per lifetime. A joint legislative committee has reported out a bill that would significantly reform the state's broken public records law. The two most important things it would do, it's not perfect, but it would finally impose legal fees on governmental agencies that are found to have not complied with the public records law. So there's some incentive to comply now. Before there was no incentive to comply, and it puts a serious limit on the cost that government agencies can impose on citizens, journalists, whoever, who are seeking public records. It appears to have the support of Senate President Stan Rosenberg and House Speaker Robert DeLeo. Let's go. This is good.
Good. All right, Josh.
My rave is for an article in the New Yorker this week. It's an article by Catherine Schultz, a really terrific piece, and a real sign of the power of a great news story to shift the conversation. There's a story that is in this week's issue about what you think about the San Andreas Fault in California is the earthquake-prone zone on the West Coast, but the Cascadia Subduction Fault, which goes across Northern California, Oregon, and Washington State, is apparently ripe for an earthquake much greater than anything that would happen in California. The federal government's own estimates for when this happens, what the casualties would be if it happened at exactly the safest time, it would lead to tens of thousands of people dying. Wow. It happens about every 250 years, and it's been 315 years since the last one.
Great.
A tremendous story, a great read, and scary as hell.
Stay away. All right, Adam.
Really quickly, I want to rant about Gawker posting an article detailing the efforts of David Geithner, the brother of former Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, to connect with a gay prostitute. David Geithner is married to a woman, has a family. Gawker put this lurid tale up online and then pulled it off today, along with an editor's note or a publisher's note from Nick Denton saying, oh, we shouldn't have done this. People are entitled to a certain degree of privacy in their lives unless some greater meaning is drawn out in the coverage. It was a disgusting story. There was a huge backlash to it, rightfully so. I don't know why they put it up in the first place.
It was horrible. Only slightly sleazier than typical Gawker fare, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, well, I have a rant for, it's going to cover the gamut here for Disney, ABC, ESPN. It turns out the Arthur Ashe Award that was given to Caitlyn Jenner the other night at that endless ESPY Award thing was a quid pro quo. That Diane Sawyer got the interview with Bruce Jenner before she became Caitlyn, in exchange for ESPN guaranteeing her
Really?
yes.
Wow.
And at one point, Jenner almost pulled the interview away from Diane Sawyer. And by the way, this is broken by the Daily Mail. My rave should be for the Daily Mail.
Love the
in,
Daily
in,
Mail.
in England.
Wow.
They broke this story. There's no denying it. It happened. That's the way it came down.
That is huge.
And it's really, really outrageous and disturbing. And then by the way, that there was 27. I went online and watched it today. 27 minutes. Caitlyn Jenner spoke the other night, and it was all sprinkled with, little promos and teases for the upcoming Kardashian show. This was all arranged so that it could be a 30-minute commercial for this upcoming reality
and you look
show.
at all the people who've defended the ESPY Awards for giving this to Caitlyn Jenner.
But they
I
didn't
mean,
know.
Nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Wow.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, and ABC and ESPN and Disney are not denying it.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Bruce, now Caitlyn Jenner and the Kardashians are masters of
Yes,
self-promotion, right?
absolutely right.
What they're doing.
Makes you wonder about the whole thing. I hate to say it, makes me wonder.